Hey kid, if you love spiders and radioactivity and way too many cobwebs, you have come to the right place.
Hey, wait a minute! That's not what she's supposed to say. I don't think she gets it.
Please hold. What do you two think I should say, Red Bear and Green Bear?
Something more heroic. Yeah, something like, if you love comics and superheroes, specifically Spider-Man, Spider-Man, playing the neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, that one. And if you love the web slinger, the amazing Spider-Man, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, or webhead, or web slinger, or Spidey.
Wow, that's a lot.
You have come to the right place. Something like that.
Okay, so if you love spiders and radioactivity, way too many cobwebs, and everything that Red Bear and Green Bear just said,
Yeah.
then you have come to the right place. Doo-doo! See that? I can do that now because I allowed myself to be bitten by several spiders this afternoon, just for you. Speaking of spiders, along came a radioactive spider. Strange Steve Ditko and the creation of Spider-Man. This is Steve Ditko. He is what you might call the father of Spider-Man. And this is his unauthorized biography.
Ooh, unauthorized. I know what that means.
Well, it just means that he didn't approve of having his story told.
Which means you're a naughty storyteller, and he's probably mad at you.
Maybe he would be mad, but I'm willing to face his anger for you. Doo-doo! Oh, I did it again. Oh, and right off the bat, we are facing a cacophony of sound effect words that you see all over the comic book world. Thop, fwit, blap, zonk, warp, clong, fronk, vip, home, doop-doop, donk, fink, fink, boogagoom, bodonk, stomp, gadook, beep, zack, choop, clong, womp womp. Oh, we could go on and on. And, oh, what's happening there? Is that spider actually? You saw that, right? Huh. There was absolutely nothing strange about comic book artist Steve Ditko. His life was an open book. No comment. Just one more word. Steve, please, just a small comment. Can I talk to you for just a second? He was a real people person, especially towards his fans. What do you want?
Ooh, he's cranky. I like.
And his artwork, totally by the book. Oh, close your eyes, Junior. Don't look at that. Okay, so Steve Ditko wasn't really like the rest of the artists at Marvel Comics. Yes, that Marvel Comics. But the same could be said about Steve's most famous creation, Spider-Man. There he is, drawing him right there. There was definitely something strange about Spider-Man. He was thin and agile like an acrobat, not mighty and muscular. His powers of clinging to walls and spinning webs were more creepy-crawly than conventional.
I like anything that's creepy-crawly.
And with the mask off, Peter Parker wasn't charming and cool like quarterback Flash Thompson in Midtown High. He stumbled over his words as much as he stumbled over his piles of books. Oh no, save the books. Where did a strange wall-crawling hero and his even stranger web of stories begin? Spidey's origin story started like a radioactive spider bite in the palm of Steve's hand. Oh, are things going to keep flying off this book? Long before Spider-Man, there was just Steve. Oh, back when he was a kid, he still smiled back then. A kid who loved comics. Back then, the Great Depression made putting food on the table tough, especially for families as big and ravenous as Steve's. Ravenous, a giant word that means giant hunger. Luckily, newspapers were cheap and they had comics. Steve and his father devoured the weekly strips while his mother helped save each one, sewing a whole year's worth into one big homemade book.
You're telling me you can sew a book?
Yes, people actually used to do that kind of stuff because back in the day, there weren't things like, giant comic books that you could buy. You had to basically DIY it.
Like a giant funny scrapbook?
Like a giant funny scrapbook. It wasn't strange that Steve grew up to become a professional comic book artist. Steve was strange because of his style. Ah, yes, kid. Whenever anyone does something differently from everyone else, some might call it strange. But that right there is how originality is born. Between Steve's pages were loners whose eyeballs, not muscles, bulged. Monsters shrouded in shadows. Not heroes costumed in capes. Otherworldly beings draped in dense fog. Not pretty damsels in distress. Little less fog, maybe? Just a little bit. Now, if you look at this page, this looks like the stuff that's very popular now. But back then, back then, it was strange. Again, now it's popular. But when somebody's doing it for the first time, you're going to be called weird. Marvel editor Stan Lee loved Strange, and it's why Steve landed his job as an artist. Now, these two couldn't have been any more different from each other. Stan was boisterous, like a constant parade. Steve was studious and just trying to get his work done. Stan acted out story plots while playing the ocarina. Oh, you know what? Off-screen technical genius?
How may I serve you?
Let's let everyone hear what an ocarina sounds like.
Right.
That's it. So while Stan is playing that thing, Steve is just trying to get his work done. But the dynamic duo had a marvelous method. Whoosh! Stan tossed a spellbinding story to Steve that maybe to you and I just looked like a paper airplane, but really, it was the seeds of greatness inside. Steve mapped out the comic, followed his instincts like a compass. He sprinkled in shifting perspectives, made a mastery of emotions, and drew distorted forms. This is the stuff that I love to point out in the drawings of every book that we ever read, because the words tell one story, but then the artist can, with his painting and his lines and his style, enhance the story in entirely new ways. Still, Steve wasn't the artist behind the bestsellers like Captain America or The Fantastic Four. That honor went to Jack the King Kirby, whose handsome heroes threw powerful punches on every page. It's as if no artist could take the crown from the king. It wasn't strange then when Stan and the King teamed up yet again for their new story, a boy, a magic ring, and a transformation into the grown-up hero named Spider-Man. Zoop! Now, Steve's job was to illustrate the new comic, but when it landed on his desk, something felt off. Spider-Man was just another repetitive, brave, and brawny hero. Brawny, big, beautiful word that means strong. Steve itched to break the mold in the best way he knew how, by making Spider-Man strange. Now notice Spider-Man is one word here. Changes are coming. All the other artists stayed inside the lines of their writer's stories. Big and muscular, big and muscular, big and muscular. Big punchy fists, big punchy fists, big punchy fists. But Steve remembered the comics he read as a kid, like Batman, who dared to be a hero with superpowers of only intuition and intellect.
Batman, he's a phony baloney.
Okay, well, Jefferson, what's your problem with Batman?
1, he's not an actual bat. 2, he doesn't have any bats. 3, no bats. 2, he's a liar and his pants are on fire.
I mean, those are actually true points. Moving on, so Steve remembered Batman. He remembered The Spirit, a genre-defying comic strip with fresh chapters that drew him across town every Sunday with his little brother Pat in tow, even in a blizzard so fierce he had to, carry Pat as their boots filled with snow, or otherwise he was going to lose his little brother under the snowdrifts. Wow, that's a lot of ice to the face. Maybe ease up on the special effects. Whew. Now, those were the kinds of stories Steve wanted to tell. Stories so spellbinding that readers would want to sew them into one big homemade book. Ones worth braving storms for. Steve did what he did best. He got to work. Scream, 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 with sound effects straight out of the comic books. He erased the magic ring. Remember they talked about a magic ring? There is no magic ring in Spider-Man because he erased it. He erased it, and he said goodbye to the King's grown-up hero. Grown up no more. Whoop! More comical sound effects, and hello, Peter Parker. Just a normal, perpetually awkward teen when along came a radioactive spider and woo! Twing! Ooh, that looks bad. A bite to spin a new kind of origin story. The higher-ups at Marvel hemmed and hawed. They call them higher-ups, the big bosses, because they're always higher up, literally, on the top floors. But to Steve, his new hyphenated Spider-Man made sense. Spidey Sense. Spidey Sense.
Spidey Sense! Spidey Sense!
See that? Now it's 2 words with a dash in between, and before it was all 1 word. Spider-Man became famous overnight and was soon greenlit to star in his own series. And suddenly, Steve found himself writing and drawing Spider-Man, a comic book history first. Pow! He had dethroned the king. So he was supposed to just draw it, and suddenly he was also writing Spider-Man. That's why he's Spider-Man's daddy. Steve's Spider-Man didn't just fight, he danced with his enemies, and Steve's villains weren't run-of-the-mill bad guys, oh no. Steve introduced Spidey's greatest challenge, though, himself. The moments when Spidey relied on inner strength, not super strength, were the ones that made Steve comic book royalty. And there's Spidey fighting with a whole host of weird-looking guys. I've seen that guy in a movie, and I definitely saw that guy. And there's a guy over here, and there's that weird goblin guy over there. A lot of really weird villains that face up against Spider-Man. Now, everyone wanted a piece of Steve. He touched this! Oh my gosh! But just like Peter Parker, Steve was a fish out of water when it came to being mainstream. The noise from being center stage was too loud, even if it was praise for his web-slinging creations.
Let's face it, he didn't like people.
No, I wouldn't say that. Not entirely sure she was wrong, though. He evaded questions like Spidey dodging the Green Goblin's pumpkin bombs. He stuck to walls when barraged by fans. Hello, he was just here. I just saw him go around the corner. They'll never see me here. Perhaps it was strange that Steve swung away from the spotlight and into the quiet where he could focus on creating new stories. But if escaping the pressure of being a celebrity was strange, then Steve didn't want to be ordinary. Really, why start now? So he did what he did best. Got to work with lots of amazing special sound effect words like whist and whoosh and spang. Steve spun dimensions mixed with magic and spiraling cosmos twisting with psychedelic spells in a story universes away. And at its center, here's another one you might have heard of. A doctor who found selflessness by becoming the defender of Earth, the master of the mystic arts. The comic was out of this world. And his most fitting work yet, Steve named him Doctor Strange. Yes, that Doctor Strange, the one from the comics, the one from all the movies, that guy too. And this, you would think, would be the end of the story, but it's just the end of the book, not the end of the story. That story went on, and I think Witch Jefferson would like this part.
Ooh, Steve Ditko would hate this book. I knew it. He'd be mad at you.
He just didn't like attention, so he didn't want anybody talking about him, just his stuff. But
when you invent Spider-Man, you want to meet his daddy.
And now that you have, I'm going to clean up because this place is a disaster.
Just when you finally got this place looking decent. Zunk!